How do we do that? So what we've seen be helpful is to be able to bring that data, that program, I'll call it, into a common platform to enable you to be able to demonstrate the answers to those insurance questions from one place, right? And so that starts with the asset inventory piece, right? So being able to get not 70%, not 60%, but 100% of your assets. We hear from a lot of organizations, yeah, we've got we moved off of spreadsheets, which is great. And we now have a tool and we've got about 70% coverage. Well, that's not what's being asked, right? It's being asked, do you have 100% coverage? Vulnerability management then. So being able to know vulnerabilities without having to scan, without having to use IT type tools, which could disrupt operations. Then patching, right? Can you actually execute patches? And do you know which patches are relevant within that environment? So the next part of the platform includes patch management. Similarly with configuration management, are you able to manage the way that that device is set up so that you can identify compensating controls when you can't patch? Users and accounts, similarly, do I know all the users and accounts? Am I managing that remote access into those accounts? They ask about EDR and AV tools, right? And so being able to integrate and be clear, yes, I have AV. Yes, it's up to date. It may be that each OEM has their own preferred version. And so I can't have one standard across all of my plants, let's say. But by having a platform, you can pull all of that data in one place so you can actually manage McAfee and Symantec and Sophos and all the various AV tools you have to cover the various vendors in one place. So you can be able to respond quickly to insurance questions, et cetera. Intrusion detection. So being able to ensure that you're monitoring assets on a regular basis, et cetera. And then incident response. So do you know backup status? Are we regularly doing backups as required, et cetera? So by bringing this into a platform, it starts to enable an organization not only to be secure, which is obviously the key point of all of this, but also to be able to demonstrate the kinds of things we will need to for insurance. So that starts with a really deep asset inventory. As I mentioned, success is not, 70%. And then being able to not only know, that there's an asset, but to know things about it, right? What are the network connections? What are the network device configurations? So you say you've got segmentation, okay? What are the configs in those firewalls? When you say the VLANs are separating, what are the configurations in those switches? And are those VLANs actually operating as we intended? Being able to see patch status, actual patch, not just the version of the OS, but the actual patch status on that device, all the KBs, et cetera, to be able to do your vulnerability management, et cetera. Right. So having that deep asset inventory is critical from an insurance point of view, and obviously from a security point of view. And then this notion of what we call think global, act local. So being able to, in that insurance application, the big key was asset inventory centrally managed. So not each site has an asset inventory, but that all comes up to the top. And so the reason this is important is when that new vulnerability shows up, right? So Rockwell releases some vulnerability on their system. Do you know where that device is everywhere? So in other words, it's got a certain firmware, it's got a certain make and model. Can you find that device across your enterprise quickly and then do something about it? And so having that scaled analytics, so getting all of the site data up to one place, data around inventory, data around patching, data around vulnerabilities, data around logs and alerting, et cetera. But then in an OT world, we need to then make the actions local, right? So for those of you who are control systems engineers, you know that the risks of having someone try and patch a system from 3,000 miles away. The timing may be wrong. It may reboot the system when it shouldn't, et cetera. And so whatever platform we use needs to be able to think global, i.e. bring that data centrally. But when we try and act, it needs to be done locally. And we need to automate that local action. and this is one of the things we do in our platform, but whatever platform you're going to choose, making sure that you can automate those local actions, but put that in the control of people who understand the process. So you're not tripping the plant in the hope of doing something good from a security point of view.